Hello, welcome to Module 2. In this session, we would be discussing the first of the three defensive behaviors, the avoiding action. In this session, we would also be discussing the different tactics which members of the organization use to ward off any request or any attempt to influence to get the work done at workplace. At the end of this video, you will be able to understand how to overcome avoiding actions behavior from members in the organization. So let me just tell you what all the different kind of tactics which members in the organization use under avoiding actions. Literally, they don't want to do the work. Whenever there is a request, they like to postpone it, argue reasons or lame excuses, and they just like to be move away from the impact of influence from the superiors or colleagues or those who are in the organization. Under avoiding actions, you have overconforming, the behavior or the tactics used by some of the members, passing the buck, acting dumb, depersonalizing, stretching and smoothing, stalling and dithering. Let us discuss each one of the tactics and how the members who influence them should respond or should take into account these tactics to influence them. The overconforming. I think we all know that members in the organizations, they like to go by the rule books, the standard operating procedures, and the precedences, and the way the work is being done, and go by the examples, and they show total inflexibility and they just stick to the guidelines. They never use flexibility to achieve the results in the organizations. And this is a kind of a delaying tactics, and members who adopt this kind of defensive behavior tend to quote examples or reasons, or they put themselves in the other member's shoe or the requesting member's shoe, saying that one, if I were to be you, I would have had the same reaction, and this is the way we do it, and I had to go by the operating procedures and I can't help it. So these are the ways to stall the work. So let us look at the second tactic under avoiding action, defensive behavior. They use it. So now let us move to the second tactic used by the members in the organization under avoiding action. It is called passing the buck. I think it is not new. We all see in organization, members just don't like to take the work. They say we are busy, it is not part of my job, why don't you ask somebody else? And they deliberately thrust his or her responsibility or the work on others and avoid doing the work. So how would you react to them? And when they do that, you have to quote the rules, you have to bring in sometimes the authority, and you have to reason out to them that it is part of their KRAs and KPIs. And if you look at the third tactics used under avoiding action defensive behavior is acting dumb, and is quite a good tactics used by a good number of people in different parts of the world. And I have seen this in Southeast Asian countries. They largely act dumb, they falsely plead ignorance or inability to avoid an unwanted task, and the tactics they use is show helplessness and show ignorance, or try to delegate or pass on the work to someone when the work is not desirable or not interesting. The third tactics used under avoiding action defensive behavior is depersonalizing. There are some members, you must have seen that when you visit some of the offices or some of the departments, they don't lift their head and look at the other person who is coming there for some work, and they like to depersonalize or literally treat the person who has come as an event or a number, not a human being with a request, and then avoid them, and they show the indifference. And this is a big impediment for the member who is trying to influence to get the work done in the organization. So if you look at the members who use the tactics here is they avoid eye contact. They are most of the time curt, and they give patronizing answers, that is to ward off the influencer and remain save their resources or retain their status quo. The another tactics which most of the members use in avoiding action is stretching and smoothing. I think all of you know that many members in the organization, they pretend that they are busy, they are occupied, and they like to delay the work as much as possible to show that the work is very difficult, and they also try to match or balance out the peaks and ebbs in the work and create the impression of steady productivity. This is also an avoiding action. In fact, they can fill the gap and make the time available to complete the task, and they ward off the influence in this area. The last one is in the avoiding action tactics is stalling and dithering. I think this you may see that there are a good number of people who appear very supportive of your ideas, your proposals, your request publicly, and they even vote for that one. But when it comes to the private handling, they do little or nothing, and sometimes they totally opposite. And the intent is to drag the food and dissipate the momentum, sap the energy, to kill the interest, and to make one give up the action, whatever he is facing from the influencer. So these are some of the avoiding action tactics used by the members in the organization, and the influencer need to be aware of them and use appropriate tactics, which we would be discussing in the influence tactics as part of the power politics and persuasion, and we will be trying to relate these two aspects to see how to detect the defensive behaviors and overcome them to influence. So let's check your understanding of the concept discussed in this module. Summary: key points discussed in this video: how to detect and overcome avoiding actions behavior from members in the organization. In the next session, we will discuss second defensive behavior, avoiding blame, and the tactics used by the members under that heading.